I want to talk to you today about something that might seem simple on the surface, but I assure you, its depths are profound. It's about the company you keep. More specifically, it's about the 5 people in your wallet. Now, I don't mean pictures of your kids or your spouse, though those are important, tremendously important. I'm talking about the 5 people whose influence most directly impacts your financial thinking, your financial habits, and ultimately, your financial well-being. Consider this for a moment, if you will. If your 5 closest associates were to average their incomes and net worth, how close would that figure be to your own? Is it a coincidence or a reflection of a deeper influence on your financial trajectory? Something to ponder, isn't it? Friends, most everyone I've ever met, from every walk of life, in every country I've visited, shares a common desire. It's the desire for improvement. Improvement in their health, improvement in their relationships, and yes, significant improvement in their financial situation. We all want a bit more security, don't we? A bit more freedom that financial stability can bring. The ability to provide for our families, to contribute to causes we believe in, to experience the richness that life has to offer without the constant gnawing worry of how will I pay for this. This aspiration is as universal as the sunrise. Yet for so many, financial progress feels like walking through thick mud, uphill, in a headwind. Why is that? Is it always external circumstances? The economy? The government? Lack of opportunity? Well, those things play a part, no doubt. But I've found over the years that some of the most significant influences on our financial journey are much closer to home. They're sitting at our dinner tables. They're on the other end of our phone calls. They're in our weekend plans. I'm talking about our social circle. We often don't see it, do we? We don't consciously calculate the impact of our friends' spending habits on our own. We don't typically analyze how our family's attitude towards investment or debt or entrepreneurship subtly shapes our own financial philosophy. We don't always recognize how the risk tolerance of our peers influences the chances we are, or are not, willing to take in our own financial lives. These influences are like invisible currents, gently, or sometimes not so gently, guiding our financial ships, often without us even realizing we're being steered. Now, many of you have heard me say this before, and it bears repeating because it's one of those fundamental truths that can change your life if you let it. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. This isn't just a clever saying, it's a profound observation about human nature and the power of association. We absorb, we mimic, we become like those with whom we consistently share our time and our thoughts. And this, my friends, applies with astonishing accuracy to our financial health and our financial mindsets. Think about it. If your closest companions are constantly talking about their latest purchases, the newest gadgets, the most expensive vacations, all funded by credit, perhaps, what kind of financial mindset does that normalize for you? If, on the other hand, your inner circle is discussing business trends, investment opportunities, strategies for wealth creation, and the importance of living below your means to build for the future, how might that shape your thinking? This brings me to a crucial point, a strategy so powerful yet so often overlooked in the quest for financial transformation. The conscious, deliberate curation of your inner circle. It's about understanding that the people you allow to influence you are, in a very real sense, partners in your financial journey. Whether you've officially invited them to be or not, and if you're not consciously choosing these partners, then you're likely associating by default. And default, my friends, rarely leads to distinction. Default rarely leads to the extraordinary financial life you might be dreaming of. So today, we're going to embark on a little journey of exploration. First, we'll delve into the direct and indirect ways our associations shape our financial beliefs and habits. We'll look at the subtle mechanics of this influence. Second, we'll explore the characteristics of a network that truly supports and challenges us financially. What does a financially uplifting circle actually look and sound like? Third, and this is where the rubber meets the road, we'll discuss practical strategies for actively cultivating beneficial financial relationships, And just as importantly, minimizing those negative influences that might be holding you back. And finally, we'll consider the long-term impact these associations have on achieving genuine financial well-being, drawing upon some of the core principles of financial wisdom that have stood the test of time. My goal here isn't to tell you who your friends should be. That's a deeply personal choice, but it is to encourage you to become acutely aware of the financial influence your associations are having on you, and to empower you to take deliberate action to ensure that influence is overwhelmingly positive and aligned with your highest financial aspirations. Because the company you keep, my friends, truly does have a profound impact on the fortune you build. It's a cornerstone of developing a rich life, not just in dollars, but in wisdom and peace of mind. Let's explore this together. All right, let's dig a little deeper into this idea of the invisible ledger. It's a fascinating concept, this subtle accounting of influence that happens every single day. How exactly do the people we spend the most time with shape our financial destiny? It's not always a direct command, like someone saying, go buy that expensive car you can't afford. Though sometimes it can be that overt. More often it's a slow, steady drip of attitudes, conversations, and observed behaviors that seeps into our subconscious and begins to mold our own financial framework. Think about the attitudes prevalent in your core group. Is money viewed as a tool for growth, opportunity, and contribution? Or is it seen as a source of stress, a root of all evil, something that rich people hoard? If your closest associates constantly express cynicism about wealth, or a victim mentality regarding their financial circumstances, it's incredibly difficult for you not to absorb some of that negativity. Conversely, if you're around people who see money as an enabler of dreams, a reward for value delivered, and a resource to be managed wisely, that optimism and sense of agency is contagious. Their belief in possibility can ignite your own. Then there are the conversations. What dominates the financial talk in your circle? Is it complaining about bills, gossiping about who's in debt, or lamenting the unfairness of the system? Or are the conversations centered around learning, about new investment ideas, about books on financial literacy, about side hustles that are generating extra income, about strategies for getting out of debt and building savings? The topics that repeatedly surface in your conversations become the background music of your financial mind. And that music either lulls you into complacency or inspires you to action. Consider spending patterns. If everyone in your group lives for the weekend splurge, dines at the trendiest restaurants multiple times a week, and upgrades their phone, car, or wardrobe with every new release, there's an immense pressure, spoken or unspoken, to keep up. This keeping up with the Joneses is a powerful undertow. It can make even a fiscally sensible person feel deprived or out of place if they choose a more conservative approach. But what if your circle values experiences over possessions, or celebrates finding great deals, or discusses how they're allocating their discretionary income towards assets rather than liabilities? That changes the entire dynamic. Suddenly, frugality isn't seen as deprivation, but as wisdom. Saving isn't a sacrifice, but an investment in future freedom. And what about investment behaviors? If no one you know talks about investing, or if they only speak of it as gambling or something only for the rich, how likely are you to explore the stock market, real estate, or starting your own business? Your exposure, or lack thereof, to these concepts through your immediate network profoundly shapes your willingness to even consider them. If, however, your friends are sharing their experiences with a diversified portfolio, discussing their rental properties, or workshopping their latest entrepreneurial venture, these once daunting subjects become demystified and accessible. Their actions make it seem possible, even normal, for you to. Finally, let's talk about financial literacy levels. If your core group is largely uninformed about basic financial principles, budgeting, compound interest, asset allocation, debt management, then the collective financial IQ of the group remains low. Questions go unasked, misinformation might be shared, and poor decisions can be unwittingly reinforced. But if you associate with people who are committed to their own financial education, who read, attend seminars, listen to podcasts, and share what they learn, the entire group benefits. You learn by osmosis, through shared resources, and through the sheer intellectual stimulation of being around financially curious and knowledgeable individuals. Their understanding of debt, saving, entrepreneurship, and wealth creation becomes a resource for your own growth. So why are these associations so powerful financially? There are several psychological and sociological mechanisms at play. First, there's social proof. We are social creatures. We look to others to determine what is correct or acceptable behavior, especially in areas where we feel uncertain. If everyone we know is carrying significant credit card debt, it starts to feel normal, even unavoidable. If everyone is investing 15% of their income for retirement, that becomes the benchmark. We think, if they're doing it, it must be okay, or it must be the smart thing to do. Second is the normalization of behaviors, both good and bad. Consistent exposure to certain financial habits makes them seem ordinary, part of the expected landscape of life. If your friends constantly complain about being broke, but also constantly spend on non-essentials, that cycle of complaint and spend becomes normalized. It can blunt your own sense of urgency to break such a cycle if you find yourself in it. Conversely, if your circle normalizes regular saving, disciplined investing, and ongoing financial learning, these positive habits become ingrained in your own expectations for yourself. Third is exposure to opportunities or lack thereof. Your network is often your primary source of information about new jobs, business ventures, investment possibilities, or even just valuable financial insights. If your circle is limited in its own scope and connections, you are less likely to hear about these things. A vibrant, forward-thinking network, however, can be a goldmine of opportunities. Someone knows someone who's starting a business that needs your skill. Someone else attended a seminar and shares a game-changing financial strategy. Another person might introduce you to a mentor who can guide your financial growth. Your associations literally open or close doors for you. And fourth, these associations play a massive role in shaping your financial comfort zone. We all have one. It's that range of financial behavior and achievement where we feel most at ease. If your circle's financial comfort zone is characterized by modest income expectations, a fear of financial risk, and a belief that wealth is for other people, it's very challenging to stretch beyond that yourself. Their limitations can subtly become your own. As I've often said, the walls of your comfort zone are lovingly decorated by your own excuses. And sometimes those excuses are borrowed directly from or heavily reinforced by the people around us. I can't start a business. None of my friends have. Investing is too risky. Everyone I know says so. It's okay to have this much debt. My buddies have even more. These associations can either reinforce those limiting walls, keeping you trapped in a financial space that's smaller than your potential, or they can hand you a sledgehammer and help you dismantle them by showing you a bigger, more expansive vision for your financial life. Let me share a couple of illustrative examples. Imagine Sarah. Sarah's primary social group is wonderful in many ways. Fun, supportive in personal crises. But financially, their conversations revolve around the latest sales, celebrity lifestyles, and where to get the best financing deal for the newest SUV. Consumer debt is a given, a normal part of life. Saving is something you do if there's anything left over, which there rarely is. Investment is a foreign concept. Sarah, despite having a decent income, finds herself constantly struggling with debt, living paycheck to paycheck, feeling that familiar anxiety at the end of the month. Her financial comfort zone is one of managing debt, not building wealth. The group unintentionally normalizes and perpetuates this cycle. Now contrast this with David. David made a conscious decision a few years ago to expand his network. He joined a local entrepreneurs meetup in an investment club. His conversation started to change. He found himself discussing market trends, analyzing business plans, sharing tips on tax-efficient investing, and learning about passive income streams. His new associates weren't necessarily richer at the outset, but their mindset was different. They talked about growth, about assets, about financial freedom. They shared books, articles, and their own small financial wins and lessons. Slowly but surely, David's own beliefs about what was possible for his finances began to shift. He started a small side business. He opened a brokerage account. He began to see debt not as a tool for consumption, but as something to be strategically managed or eliminated. His financial comfort zone expanded dramatically. Or think about the power of a mentor. Maria was working a steady job, earning an okay salary, but felt stagnant. She had dreams of financial independence, but no clear path. Then, through a professional organization, she connected with an older woman, Eleanor, who had built a successful consulting business and achieved significant financial success. Eleanor didn't just give Maria advice. She shared her journey, her mistakes, her philosophies. She challenged Maria's limiting beliefs about her own earning potential. She normalized the idea of taking calculated risks. That exposure, that mentorship, was like a light bulb turning on in Maria's mind. It altered her entire perception of what she could achieve. It showed her a blueprint that her previous associations simply couldn't have provided. This is why I've always emphasized the power of influence. It's why I say, don't join an easy crowd. You won't grow. Go where the expectations and the demands to perform are high. And this applies with such force to your financial life. Seeking out financially astute associations, individuals who stretch your thinking, who challenge your assumptions, who model the kind of financial behavior you aspire to. This isn't about social climbing. It's about intellectual and philosophical growth. It's about placing yourself in an environment where positive financial habits are the norm, where learning is encouraged, and where your own financial aspirations are not only understood but actively supported. The influence is real, my friends. It's happening whether you're paying attention to it or not. The attitudes, the conversations, the habits of your 5 closest people are quietly shaping your financial philosophy, your daily decisions, and ultimately your financial destiny. So the critical question, the reflection point I want to leave you with for this section is this: consider your 5 closest associates. How do their typical conversations and attitudes about money influence your own financial thoughts and behavior? Are these influences aligning with your financial goals? Or are they subtly, perhaps even lovingly, steering you off course? Take some time with that. Be honest with yourself, because recognizing this influence is the very first step toward taking control of it and consciously shaping a financial future that truly excites you. The invisible ledger is always being written. The question is, are you aware of the entries, and do you like the bottom line it's projecting for your life? Now that we've established just how profoundly our associations can shape our financial destiny, the next logical step, and a crucial one, is to conduct a candid audit of our current inner circle. This isn't about judging your friends or family as good or bad people. Absolutely not. This is about objectively evaluating the financial influence these relationships are having on you. It's about identifying those individuals who act as financial builders, those who inspire, educate, and encourage positive financial habits, and recognizing those, perhaps entirely unintentionally, act as financial blockers, inadvertently normalizing or promoting behaviors and mindsets that hinder your financial progress. Defining this principle is about recognizing that awareness precedes control. You cannot change what you do not acknowledge. This audit isn't a one-time event, but rather an ongoing process of mindful observation. It's about looking at your key relationships through a specific financial lens. Who lifts you up financially? Who, even with the best intentions, might be weighing you down or tethering you to limiting beliefs? Why is this audit so necessary? Well, primarily, it's to reclaim your agency. It's to move from being a passive recipient of financial influence to an active, conscious chooser of the inputs that shape your financial mindset. Many of our closest associations are formed organically through family ties, school, work, shared hobbies, and that's wonderful, but we rarely pause to consider their specific impact on our financial philosophy. This audit allows you to do just that. It's about taking personal responsibility for the intellectual and attitudinal environment you inhabit, the environment that feeds your financial thoughts and ultimately your financial actions. This connects directly to a piece of advice I've shared for decades. Stand guard at the door of your mind. We're often diligent about what we eat, about the physical safety of our homes, but are we equally diligent about the ideas, attitudes, and perspectives we allow to take root in our minds, especially concerning something as vital as our financial well-being? Standing guard at the door of your mind absolutely extends to filtering the financial perspectives absorbed from others. If you're constantly exposed to a chorus of "I can't afford it," "it's too hard," "the rich get richer," "the poor get poorer," those sentiments can become your own mental wallpaper, your default thinking. An audit helps you identify the sources of these messages. Let's consider some illustrative examples and anecdotes to make this more concrete. Imagine James. James has a close friend, Mark, whom he's known since childhood. Mark is a great guy, loyal and fun to be around. But whenever money comes up, Mark's tune is consistently negative. He complains about his job, his bills, his inability to get ahead. James has, on several occasions, tried to suggest solutions. A simple budget, a course to upgrade his skills, exploring a side business. Mark dismisses them all. Budgeting is too restrictive. I don't have time for a course. Starting a business is too risky. After these conversations, James often finds his own motivation and optimism slightly deflated. Mark's persistent negativity, his rejection of constructive advice, acts like an anchor on James's own financial enthusiasm. Mark, a good friend in many ways, is an unintentional financial blocker. Recognizing this doesn't mean James has to end the friendship. But it does mean James needs to become aware of this dynamic and perhaps limit financial discussions with Mark or consciously counterbalance Mark's influence with more positive inputs. On the flip side, consider Aisha. Aisha felt she was in a financial rut. Her family, while loving, had a very traditional and risk-averse view of money. Get a safe job, save a little, and don't take any chances. This advice, while well-intentioned, wasn't aligned with Aisha's bigger financial goals. So, Aisha decided to actively seek out different influences. She joined a local investment club. Suddenly, she was surrounded by people talking about stock analysis, real estate syndication, and early retirement strategies. She found a mentor within the club, a woman who had successfully navigated several economic cycles and built substantial wealth through disciplined investing and entrepreneurship. These new associations didn't replace her family, but they provided a powerful counterbalance, a new set of perspectives that helped her see beyond the limited financial horizons she had previously known. These were her financial builders. So, what are the characteristics of these financially uplifting associates, these builders? They are learners. They are curious. They read books on finance, listen to podcasts, attend workshops. They believe that financial knowledge is not fixed, but can be acquired and improved. They ask questions and are open to new ideas. They are goal-oriented. They have financial goals, whether it's becoming debt-free, saving for a down payment, investing for retirement, or building a business. They don't just dream, they plan and they act. They are responsible. They take ownership of their financial situation. They don't blame external factors for their problems, but look for solutions. They understand the importance of budgeting, saving, and living within their means. They are often entrepreneurial or have an entrepreneurial mindset. Even if they work a traditional job, they think about creating value, finding opportunities, and perhaps diversifying their income streams. They aren't afraid of calculated risks. They discuss opportunities rather than just problems. While they acknowledge challenges, their conversations are more focused on what can be done, on potential solutions, on future possibilities. They talk about growth, innovation, and contribution. They are generally positive and supportive. They celebrate each other's financial wins, offer constructive feedback, and encourage perseverance through setbacks. They believe in abundance rather than scarcity. Conversely, financial blockers might exhibit some of these traits. Chronic complaining about money. Their financial narrative is one of lack, struggle, and victimhood. Resistance to new financial ideas or advice. They may be quick to shoot down suggestions for improvement without serious consideration. Impulsive or irresponsible spending habits. They may normalize living beyond their means, accumulating consumer debt without a plan to repay it. A fixed or scarcity mindset. They may believe that financial success is only for a lucky few, or that there's not enough to go around. Focus on problems rather than solutions. Their conversations tend to dwell on what's wrong rather than on how to make things right. Envy or criticism of others' financial success. Instead of being inspired, they might be resentful or dismissive of those who achieve financial well-being. Again, this isn't about labeling people. Someone can be a wonderful friend and still have some blocker tendencies in the financial realm. The purpose of the audit is awareness for your sake. This ties into one of the most fundamental truths I know. You must take personal responsibility. You cannot change the circumstances, the seasons, or the wind. But you can change yourself. Part of changing yourself is changing, or at least managing, the influences you allow to shape your thinking and your philosophy. You can't force your friends to adopt a wealth mindset. You can't make your family members suddenly become entrepreneurial. But you can choose how much time you spend immersed in limiting financial conversations. You can choose to actively seek out voices and perspectives that align with your financial aspirations. You can change yourself by changing the primary inputs you receive. The audit process might look something like this. First, identify your current 5. Who are the 5 people or small group with whom you spend the most time discussing or being influenced by money matters? Second, analyze the conversations. What are the dominant themes when money comes up? Is it positive, negative, growth-oriented, stagnant? Third, observe their habits. What are their general spending, saving, and investing patterns? How do they talk about debt, about wealth? Fourth, assess the impact on you. How do you generally feel after financial discussions with these individuals? Energized and inspired? Drained and discouraged? More or less confident in your own financial abilities? Fifth, categorize loosely. Based on this, would you say they are generally acting as a financial builder or a blocker in your life? Or perhaps neutral? This isn't about being ruthless or cutting people out of your life wholesale. Sometimes a blocker might be a beloved family member. The strategy then isn't necessarily to disassociate, but to manage the influence, perhaps by gently redirecting conversations away from negative money talk, or by mentally filtering their perspectives, or by ensuring you spend even more time with builders to counterbalance the effect. So the reflection point for this stage of our discussion is this. Which of your relationships actively contribute to your financial growth by challenging you, educating you, or inspiring you? And which relationships, perhaps unintentionally, might be holding you back or normalizing limiting financial beliefs or habits? What specific financial conversations are most common in your current circles? And are they building you up or tearing you down financially? This kind of honest self-assessment is not always comfortable. It can be challenging to admit that people we care about might be exerting a less than ideal influence on a crucial area of our lives. But remember, the goal isn't blame, it's clarity. And clarity is the foundation upon which you can begin to consciously construct a network that truly serves your highest financial good. Take responsibility. Stand guard at the door of your mind. Choose your influences with the same care you'd choose your investment, because in many ways, they are an investment. We've talked about the power of association and the importance of auditing your current circle. Now let's move into the exciting part, the proactive, deliberate cultivation of a network that actively supports and propels you toward financial abundance. This isn't about passively waiting for the right people to show up. It's about intentionally designing your relational environment. It's about becoming an architect of your influences. Defining this principle means understanding that building a powerful, supportive financial network is an active verb. It requires effort, strategy, and a willingness to step outside your current comfort zone. It involves seeking out mentors who have walked the path you wish to travel. It means considering joining or forming mastermind groups where shared goals and mutual support create a powerful synergy. It involves consciously limiting exposure to consistently negative or detrimental financial influences. Not out of malice, but out of self-preservation and a commitment to your own growth. And very importantly, it's also about becoming a positive financial influence for others. Because in teaching and sharing, we often learn and solidify our own understanding the most. Why must we actively cultivate this network? Because frankly, a truly empowering financial network rarely happens by accident. If you leave your associations to chance, you'll likely end up with a mixed bag of influences, many of which may not align with your highest financial aspirations. Default associations often reflect proximity and convenience, rather than deliberate choice based on shared values and goals, especially financial ones. Intentional effort is required to find and nurture relationships that elevate your financial consciousness, expand your opportunities, and reinforce the habits necessary for success. Without this conscious effort, you risk remaining mired in the same financial patterns, surrounded by the same limiting beliefs that may have characterized your past. This brings me back to a key idea: association by design, not by default. Think about that. Are you designing your circle of influence? Or are you simply defaulting to whoever happens to be around? When you design something, a house, a business plan, a garden, you do it with purpose, with an end goal in mind. You select the materials, the strategies, the seeds with care. The same should apply to your financial associations. You need to take deliberate steps to connect with people who embody the financial success, the wisdom, and the habits you aspire to cultivate in your own life. This is an act of profound self-investment. So what are some practical applications? How do you actually go about cultivating this network for financial abundance? First, seek mentors and role models. Identify individuals who have achieved the kind of financial success or possess the financial wisdom you admire. This doesn't mean accosting the wealthiest person you can find. Look for people whose values align with yours, whose journey resonates with you. They could be authors, local business owners, experienced investors, or even wise elders in your community. How to approach them? Don't ask, "Will you be my mentor?" right away. That can be overwhelming. Instead, express genuine admiration for their work or achievements. Ask for a brief informational interview, perhaps 20 minutes of their time, to ask a few specific questions about their journey or their insights on a particular financial topic. Come prepared with thoughtful questions. Respect their time. Offer value in return if you can, even if it's just your sincere appreciation and a promise to apply what you learn. A good book by someone you admire can be a mentor. A podcast host whose wisdom resonates can be a mentor. Mentorship comes in many forms. Second, join or create mastermind groups. A mastermind group is a small group of individuals who meet regularly to support each other in achieving their goals. Napoleon Hill famously wrote about this concept. Find or form a group focused on financial growth, business development, or investment strategies. What makes a good mastermind? Shared commitment, confidentiality, a willingness to both give and receive honest feedback, and a focus on accountability. The collective intelligence and mutual support of a well-run mastermind can be incredibly powerful for accelerating financial progress. Third, attend industry events, seminars, and workshops. These are fantastic places to meet like-minded individuals who are also invested in their financial growth and education. Don't just attend, participate, ask questions, network during breaks. You never know who you might connect with: a future business partner, a mentor, or simply a new friend who shares your financial aspirations. Look for events focused on financial literacy, investing, entrepreneurship, or personal development. Fourth, leverage online communities and forums. The internet offers a wealth of opportunities to connect with financially savvy individuals from around the globe. Join reputable online forums, LinkedIn groups, or Facebook communities focused on personal finance, investing, or specific niches you're interested in. Engage respectfully, share your knowledge, and learn from others. Just be discerning, as not all online advice is created equal. Fifth, limit exposure to negative influences. This can be the trickiest part, especially if the negative influences are close friends or family. It doesn't necessarily mean ending relationships. It means managing the interaction. Strategies. You can politely change the subject when conversations turn to chronic financial complaining. You can choose not to participate in discussions that normalize irresponsible spending. You can reduce the frequency or duration of interactions with individuals who consistently drain your financial optimism. You might say, "I'm actually trying to focus on more positive financial strategies right now. Perhaps we could talk about something else." It requires tact and courage, but it's vital for protecting your own mindset. Sixth, become a positive financial influence yourself. As you learn and grow, share your knowledge and enthusiasm with others who are receptive. Offer encouragement and support. Sometimes by articulating what you're learning or striving for, you solidify it for yourself, and you might just inspire someone in your existing circle to join you on the path to financial improvement. Remember, the teacher often learns more than the student. Seventh, practice concept of value for value in relationships. When seeking to associate with people you admire, always think about what value you can bring to the relationship. It's not just about what you can get. Value can come in many forms. Enthusiasm, a willingness to help, a unique skill, fresh perspectives, connections you might have. Relationships are a two-way street. If you want to associate with high-value people, strive to be a high-value person yourself. Be a good listener. Be reliable. Be someone who contributes. As I've often stated, your income is directly related to your philosophy, not the economy. And where does that philosophy primarily come from? It's profoundly shaped by your association. Therefore, by consciously choosing and cultivating associations that promote a sound financial philosophy, one of responsibility, growth, learning, and abundance, you are directly influencing your potential income and your overall financial well-being. If you surround yourself with people who have a philosophy of it can't be done, or it's too hard, or I'm just not good with money, that philosophy will invariably seep into your own thinking. But if you surround yourself with people whose philosophy is how can it be done? What do I need to learn? Let's find a way. Then that resourceful and optimistic philosophy becomes your own. This isn't about using people. It's about understanding the irrefutable power of environment and influence. It's about recognizing that who you spend your time with shapes who you are and what you achieve, financially and otherwise. It's about seeking out those who will fan the flames of your ambition, not those who will pour water on them. So here's your reflection point, your call to action for this section. What is one concrete step you can take this month to either strengthen a positive financial association you already have, or to seek out a new one that could elevate your financial thinking? And just as importantly, how can you consciously become a more positive and uplifting financial influence for someone in your own life, even in a small way? Don't try to overhaul your entire network overnight. That's overwhelming and unrealistic. Just pick one thing. Maybe it's reading a book by a financial mentor. Maybe it's inviting that successful colleague for a virtual coffee. Maybe it's finding one online group to join and observe. Or maybe it's deciding to share a positive financial article with a friend. Instead of engaging in the usual complaint session, small, consistent steps in cultivating your network, taken over time, will lead to a profound transformation in your financial environment and ultimately in your financial results. Design your associations, my friends. Don't default. We've covered a lot of ground today, haven't we? We've explored this powerful, often underestimated force in our lives, the profound impact of our associations on our financial beliefs, our daily habits, and inevitably, our ultimate financial outcomes. We've looked at how the 5 people in your wallet, those closest influences, can subtly steer your financial ship, for better or for worse. We delved into the invisible ledger, understanding that the attitudes, conversations, and spending patterns of our companions are constantly making deposits into, or withdrawals from, our own financial mindset. We talked about why this influence is so potent: social proof, normalization, the shaping of our comfort zones, often decorated with excuses echoed by our peers. Then, we moved to the critical task of auditing our inner circle, not to judge, but to gain clarity. Identifying those financial builders who lift us up, and recognizing the financial blockers who, often with no ill intent, might be holding us back. This awareness is key. For as I've always said, you must stand guard at the door of your mind. And that includes the financial philosophies you allow to enter through your associations. And finally, we discussed the active, exciting process of cultivating a network for financial abundance. Seeking mentors, joining masterminds, limiting negative inputs, and crucially, associating by design, not by default. Because your philosophy, which is so heavily shaped by your network, is a primary determinant of your financial success, far more so than the prevailing economic winds. So what's the grand takeaway from all of this? It's that your social portfolio is one of your most significant financial assets. Just like a financial portfolio of stocks and bonds, your network of associations needs to be carefully chosen, diversified, managed, and occasionally rebalanced to ensure it's working for you and aligned with your long-term financial goals. The power of deliberate association cannot be overstated. You may not control the global economy. You can't dictate interest rates. You can't change the tax laws single-handedly. Those are the seasons and the winds I often speak about. but you have immense control over the set of your sail. And a huge part of setting your sail correctly in your financial life is choosing the crew you sail with. You have significant control over the economic climate of your immediate inner circle. And that personal economic climate, the ideas, the encouragement, the challenges, the opportunities shared within it, will have a far more direct and profound impact on your personal financial results than the broader economic weather report. If your inner circle's climate is one of scarcity, complaint, and financial illiteracy, you'll likely find yourself shivering in the cold of financial struggle, no matter how sunny the broader economy might be for others. But if you cultivate an inner circle whose climate is one of abundance, learning, mutual support, and entrepreneurial zeal, you can create your own microclimate of financial growth and opportunity, even when the larger forecast seems gloomy. This isn't a one-time fix, my friends. Cultivating a supportive financial network is an ongoing journey. It's a process of continuous evaluation, of seeking out new wisdom, of nurturing valuable relationships, and of contributing your own growing value to others. This aligns perfectly with the broader philosophy of continuous self-improvement that is essential for success in all areas of life. Just as you must keep learning, keep growing, keep adapting in your career and personal development, so too must you remain an active, conscious cultivator of your network. The needs you have today for financial inspiration might be different 5 years from now. The people who can best support your current level of financial understanding might change as you become more sophisticated in your thinking. Be open to this evolution. Be a lifelong learner in the art of association. As you leave here today, or as you reflect on these words, I want to leave you with a final thought. Encapsulation, if you will. The people you choose to surround yourself with are like the ingredients in the recipe of your financial life. Choose them with care, for their essence will blend into your own. Seek those who season your ambition with wisdom, who leaven your efforts with encouragement, and who bring the richness of experience to the table. For your associations are not merely company. They are the architects of your financial philosophy and the harbingers of your fortune. Choose wisely, invest thoughtfully in these relationships, and watch your financial world transform. Don't underestimate this. Don't dismiss it as too simple. The fundamentals of success are often simple in their statement, but they require discipline and consistent effort in their application. This is one of those fundamentals. The quality of your life, including your financial life, will be largely determined by the quality of your contributions and the quality of your association. Take a good, hard, honest look at those 5 people. Are they an asset or a liability to your financial dreams? Are they pushing you forward, holding you back, or simply keeping you comfortably numb in mediocrity? The answer to that question holds remarkable power. And then, take action. One small step, seek one new conversation, read one new book from someone you admire. Identify one negative influence you can gently start to buffer. Become the designer of your financial destiny by first becoming the conscious designer of your financial associations. It's a challenge, yes. But it's one of the most rewarding challenges you can undertake. The results won't just show up in your bank account. They'll show up in your confidence, in your knowledge, in your peace of mind, and in your ability to make a greater impact on the world around you. Thank you for your time. It's been a privilege to share these ideas with you. Go out there and not just make a living, but design a life, a rich, fulfilling, and abundant life. And remember the power of the company you keep on that remarkable journey. Thank you.